I hope that you are well and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 6 English lesson on pronouns and antecedents, right? And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to log on to our English lesson, English Language Arts, grade 6. And then we're just going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of pronouns and antecedents. All right, so our chapter is pronouns and antecedents. The subject is English Language Arts, grade 6. And the lessons that we are focusing on today under the chapter of pronouns and antecedents is to identify pronouns and antecedents and to use the pronouns that agrees with the antecedents. All right. So when it comes to pronouns and antecedents, right? So a pronoun, it is a word that takes the place of a noun, right? So you have your noun, which can be, remember, nouns are, it names people, places, animals, or things, right? Those are nouns. So a pronoun, it takes the place of a noun. It takes the place of a noun or it takes the place of a noun phrase, right? And the noun or the noun phrase that the pronoun refers to, we call that the antecedent. So the noun or the noun phrase that it refers to is the antecedent. We have singular pronouns and we have plural pronouns. And we said that our pronoun, right, it needs to agree with the antecedent. All right. So, like we said, we have our singular pronoun, and then we also have our plural pronouns, right? So when it comes to singular pronouns, right, then singular pronouns, it takes the place of singular nouns. And when it comes to singular nouns or singular pronouns, right, then singular pronouns are words like I. You see, so now you're taking the place of the noun, right? It's I, it's you, she, he, it, me, him, her, his, its, my, and your. Those are all singular pronouns. Singular pronouns, it takes the place of a singular noun. And if we look at an example, right? If we look at an example of, let's say, our singular pronouns, right? Or let's say we look at an example of singular pronouns with its antecedents, right? And then it says, Rachel is tired. So Rachel is tired, even though she slept for 10 hours last night. So Rachel is tired, even though she slept for 10 hours last night. And if we look at the pronoun over there, right, then we can say it is, of course, it is Rachel, which is also a noun, right? But she is the pronoun, right? So she, because Rachel is our noun, but remember we see that our pronoun, it takes the place of the noun, which is she. And then surprisingly, my brother's basketball team won all of its games this season. And it's our pronoun. So it's is our pronoun. And can you open this jar of pickles? I can't get it open. And there we have you and we have I, right? Pronouns are words that takes the place of a noun. And then we also have plural pronouns, right? And remember, plural means anything that is two or more, right? And once again, we said that a pronoun, it takes the place of a noun, right? Or it takes the place of a noun phrase. And singular pronoun, we said that it refers to basically one person or thing, whereas a plural pronoun refers to more than one person or thing that we are referring to. And if we look at the plural pronoun, right? So that's our plural, and we went over singular pronouns. Plural pronouns, right? It takes the place of plural nouns or of nouns, right? That is joined by the conjunction, which is and. Remember, conjunctions are joining words. We have conjunctions and, but, or, so. But here they're saying that plural nouns takes the place of a plural pronouns. It takes place of a plural noun or plural nouns, or specifically of nouns that is joined by a conjunction, and the conjunction which is and, right? For example, they say when we talk about plural nouns that is joined by the conjunction and, then it is, for example, saying Rachel and Jack, right? Remember, if we just make mention of Rachel or we just make mention of Jack, then it may seem as if it is a singular pronoun. But since we are making mention of both of them, Rachel and Jack, then it means that it becomes plural because it is two people that is doing something. And that is what we mean by plural. And plural nouns or plural pronouns include, or there are words like we, you, they, us, them, our, your, and their. Those are plural pronouns. And an example of the plural pronouns, right, or let's say of sentences, it is, for example, my neighbors. You see, neighbors refers to more than one neighbor. My neighbors spent the weekend at their cabin in South Lake Tahoe. And then we have another one that says, where are the cans of soup I just bought? Right? So I is a singular pronoun. They aren't in the cupboard, and they refers to the cans of soup. And then here we have the noun that is joined by the conjunction, which is and, right? Which is easy. And I spent all day on our science project. All right, so that is basically our pronouns, and we're going to find out more about pronouns and antecedents And we said pronouns, a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun or takes the place of a noun phrase. And the noun or that noun phrase that the pronoun refers to, we call that the antecedent, right? And our pronoun that takes the place of the noun needs to agree with the antecedent. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca, and that's where we're going to find out more about pronouns and its antecedents. And we're going into our first lesson that says identify pronouns and their antecedents. All right, so once again, we said a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun or a phrase or noun phrase. The noun or the noun phrase that the pronoun refers to, we call that the antecedent, right? So it means that Rachel is tired, right? Even though she slept for 10 hours last night. So our pronoun over here is she, right? It says Rachel is tired even though she slept for 10 hours last night, right? Which means that that pronoun she refers to Rachel, right? Who did not sleep or who's basically tired, right? So which means that Rachel is antecedent and she is our pronoun that refers to Rachel. So here it says the noun Rachel is our antecedent of the pronoun, which is she. So she is the pronoun. Remember, we said we get singular pronouns and we get plural pronouns, right? Singular pronouns refers to one person or thing doing, doing an action. And then we have plural pronouns, which refers to um, more than one person or thing that's doing an action. And when it also comes to plural pronouns, right? Plural pronouns can also refer to or it has a conjunction and. Like for example, Tom and Sarah, right? As much as Tom is a word or a name that sound like it's referring to one person, Sarah refers to one person. But Tom and Sarah, remember we said that when it comes to nouns or pronouns, right? It needs to nouns or pronouns does the action, right? So in this case, Tom and Sarah is doing the action, which means that they are doing it together. So which means that that becomes now a plural pronoun or plural noun or plural becomes plural within that sentence. And apparently Tom and Sarah just landed. Apparently Tom and Sarah just landed. Who is picking them up? So Tom and Sarah, right, is basically our noun phrase. Them is our pronoun that is referring back to Tom and Sarah because they are landing. So now they want to know who them up, them being who's picking Tom and Sarah up. So them is our pronoun. And in the same with my brother's basketball team, right? It says, surprisingly, my brother's basketball team won all of its games this season. So which means that my brother's basketball team, it is a noun phrase, right? And the word it's, right? This is our pronoun that refers back to my brother's basketball team, right? And that is our antecedent. And remember, a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun or noun phrase. And the noun or the noun phrase that the pronoun refers to, we call that the antecedent. Right? All right, let's do an activity and then we're going on to our test. It says select the pronoun whose antecedent is Julia Child. Oh, Julia Child. Before becoming a cookbook author and TV host, Julia Child learned about French food while living in Paris with her husband Paul. So it says before becoming a cookbook author and TV host, Julia Child learned about French food while living in Paris with her husband Paul. So we now need to select the pronoun whose antecedent is Julia Child, who refers to Julia Child. And if we were to select a pronoun that refers back to Julia Child, right, which is our antecedent, which is our noun, then we can say her is our pronoun. Because her refers to Julia Child. And her is our pronoun. All right. So here they say Julia Child, her, we're referring to Julia Child, who is Julia Child's husband. All right. We need to select the pronoun that whose antecedent is making movies. So we need to select the one whose antecedent is making movies. It says making movies can be a difficult task because it requires the work of hundreds of people, including actors, directors, writers, producers, and the production team. Crew, sorry. So making movies can be a difficult task because it requires the work of hundreds of people, including actors, directors, writers, producers, and the production crew. And if we were to refer to making movies, right? And then we can say making movies, the pronoun would then be it requires work of hundreds of people. So it refers to making, right? That is it. And it is our pronoun that refers to making movies. There we have it. Pronoun is it. This is the noun phrase making movies. All right, now let's go to our test, right? Where we're going to identify pronouns and antecedent. And it says we need to select the pronoun whose antecedent is John James Audubon. All right, we need to select the pronoun whose antecedent is John James Audubon, right? And John James Audubon was a famous naturalist and artist who studied birds. In the 1820s, the printer Robert Avell helped him publish one of the finest books of bird drawings ever made, right? So we now need to select the pronoun, right, whose antecedent refers to John James Audubon. Is it him or is it her? So him or her, we need to select the pronoun. Sorry. All right, and if we were to select our pronoun, right? That refers to John. Is it him that refers to John? Because it says here Robert Havel helped him publish one of the finest books of bird drawings ever. Or is our pronoun her? What is our pronoun? Him or her? We need to select the correct pronoun. All right. And if we were to select the correct pronoun, and then our pronoun would be him, right? Because him refers back to John James Audubon, which is our antecedent. The librarian and I searched everywhere for the missing dictionary, but we couldn't find it anywhere. So we now need to look at the noun phrase, which is the librarian and I, right? And we need to select the pronoun that refers back to the librarian and I. And it says the librarian and I searched everywhere for the missing dictionary, but we couldn't find it anywhere. So if we select the pronoun within the sentence that refers back to the librarian and I, is it he or is it we? We now need to select the pronoun that refers to the librarian and I. And we were to select the correct pronoun, then we would refer to as we, because that is the librarian and I. We were looking for the missing dictionary. So we refers again and I. And in the 1700s, tobacco was so valuable that it was used as currency in many American colonies. So in the 1700s, tobacco was so valuable that it was used as currency in many American colonies. So we need to select the pronoun whose antecedent is tobacco, the pronoun that refers to tobacco. Is it it or was? It or was? And if we refer to our antecedent, which is tobacco, then we would say it was used as currency because tobacco was used as currency. And I think in certain prisons or jails, they basically still use tobacco now as currency when it comes to getting certain things. It's like giving tobacco cigarettes for protection. So it is correct. We need to select the pronoun whose antecedent is your tongue. Your tongue. It says your tongue does far more than just help you eat. It is also an important organ used in the production of language. So it is an important organ used in the production of language. Just look at some of the people whose tongue is cut off. Then they cannot speak, right? There is nothing that comes out. So which means that our tongue is a very important organ used in the production of language, speech. So your tongue, does it refer to it as the pronoun or an as the pronoun? What is the pronoun that refers to your tongue? It says your tongue does more than just help you eat. It is also an important organ used in the production of language. And if we refer to our tongue, or let's say we refer to our tongue and we select the pronoun, sorry, that refers to the tongue, and then we can say it is it. Because we are saying that your tongue, which is it, is an important organ. What is an important organ? Your tongue, which is it. All right. Now we're going to use the pronoun that agrees with the antecedent. The pronoun that agrees with the antecedent. And we see that a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun or it takes the place of a noun phrase. And the noun or the noun phrase that the pronoun refers to, we call that the antecedent. And a pronoun, it must agree with its antecedent, right? And remember, we said the antecedent is, it's almost like it's the noun that the pronoun refers to. And remember, a pronoun, it takes the place of a noun or a noun phrase. So we have singular pronouns and we have plural pronouns. Singular refers to only one person, thing, animal, or place, whereas plural refers to more than that, right? So singular pronouns, it takes singular nouns, and these singular pronouns include words like I, you, she, he, it, me, him, her, his, its, my, and your. Those are singular pronouns. And then we have plural pronouns, which takes the place of plural nouns, or nouns that is joined by conjunction and. And remember, I said that nouns that is joined by conjunction and is, for example, saying um, Nadine and Anna, right? So if I say Nadine and Anna are going to the library, then it means that we are going together, right? Or they are going together. Because Nadine is not going alone, Anna is not going alone, but Nadine and Anna are going together, which means that it becomes a plural. noun or plural pronoun because they are going together. So they or we refers to then the pronoun, or it is the pronoun that refers to, for example, Nadine and Anna. So that conjunction and, right, it joins that two nouns and makes it a noun phrase, which is then Nadine and Anna, and it refers to it being plural. And our plural pronouns include words like we, you, they, us, them, our, your, and their. Those are plural pronouns, right? So let's look at two activities and then going on to our test. It says, my sister and I went camping with stepdad. He snored so loudly that we couldn't sleep. So my sister and I went camping with stepdad. He snored so loudly that we couldn't sleep. Sister and I. So can you see? There we have our conjunction and our conjunction and it joins my sister and I. Now it becomes two people doing something together. It becomes plural, right? So we can then say, when my sister and I went camping, right, with our stepdad. Not my her stepdad, not your stepdad, but our stepdad, because now it refers to both of us, right? And it becomes a plural pronoun that we need to now select or in order to agree with our antecedent, which is my sister and I. All right. And it says when Hillary was elected to the United States Senate in 2000, became the only first lady to have held national office. So we now need to select a pronoun that refers to Hillary Rodham Clinton. So it says when Hillary Rodham Clinton was elected to the United States Senate in 2000, we can then say she became the only first lady to have held national office. She, right? And she is in our pronoun that refers back to Hillary Rodham Clinton, right? All right, so now we're going on to our test where we are going to complete the sentence with the pronoun that agrees in bold. All right, so we say Christopher and I plan to vote for friend Mary in the city council election. So it's Christopher and I, we plan to vote for. Do we say our friend Mary in the city council election, or do we say me, Mary, in the city council elections? And once again, if you look at Christopher and I, right, here we have a word which joins Christopher and I, right? So now it becomes a plural noun, or it becomes plural basically. So then we can say Christopher and I plan to vote for our, because it's both Christopher and I, for our friend in the city council election. And our is correct. Professor Santiago is an astronomer at the University of Chicago. She invited us to visit, do we say visit her or visit his, and look through the telescopes at the Yerkes Observatory. So Professor Santiago is an astronomer at the University of Chicago. She invited, do we say she invited us to visit her, or do we say she invited us to visit his? Which one do we is the pronoun that refers to Professor Santiago? Is it a her or is it a he? And then we can say she invited us to visit her and look through the telescopes. All right. Then we also need to refer to Pablo Sarasate. Sarasate. He became very wealthy as a famous violin player. After, do we say after his long career or after her long career, he left most of his money to Pamplona, Spain, the town in which he grew up. So we need to select the pronoun that refers back to Pablo Sarasate. So we can say after his long career, he left most of his money. So he's, because he's referred to Pablo, who's a male, right? All right, so that is the end of our lesson on pronouns and antecedents, right? Remember, we say that a pronoun, it takes the place of a noun or takes the place of a noun phrase. And when it comes to pronouns and antecedents, right, our pronouns needs to refer back to its antecedents. It needs to agree with its antecedents, right? And the antecedents, it can either be, let's say, the noun or the noun phrase, right? And that pronoun refers then back to that noun or the noun phrase within that sentence. And you need to also look at if it's a singular pronoun or if it's a plural pronoun. Singular refers to more like one person, place, or thing, and a plural pronoun refers to more than one person, place, or thing, right? All right, so that is the end of lesson grade 6. Thank you much for joining our class. I really hope that you do have an understanding of what pronoun and antecedents are. You should have a good day further. Goodbye, and you're welcome.